This is KGW News at Sunrise.
And good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning. I'm Tim Gordon alongside, well, a little bit more than 6 feet away from Christelle Goodway this morning.
Good morning. It is currently 6:30. Let's quickly check. Look at your forecast.
Yeah, you really can't say a long start to this Sunday. That fog will clear out as we head into the second half of the day. 39 degrees out there right now. We'll take you out to downtown Portland. A look from our Wells Fargo sky cam. Temperatures not too bad out there. Again, with mainly temperatures in the upper 30s. So the fog that you see there up and down the I-5 corridor, not going to be freezing fog, at least not in the valley. Head out east along I-84 to the gorge. You will run into freezing temperatures, and some of the fog that's out there right now will be freezing. All right, here's how your day is shaping up. 43 by noon, mostly cloudy, again morning fog. The clouds will stick around for much of the day. Temperatures topping out in the upper 40s, might hit 50 if that fog moves out earlier than expected, but we're forecasting highs in the upper 40s today. Do have a little bit of precipitation in the forecast for this week, not a lot. We'll talk about that coming up in your full weather forecast in just a bit.
Okay, Keely, that sounds pretty good. We start with a busy day along the Oregon and Washington coasts.
People there cleared beaches after a tsunami advisory caused by an undersea volcano eruption off the coast of Tonga in the South Pacific.
Yeah, fortunately, this event turned out to be pretty mild. We saw stronger waves on some parts of the Oregon coast. People listened to the warnings and stayed off the beaches, but coastal residents did sneak a peek at the waves.
It's a good reminder that it can be dangerous out there, and that if you're on the beach, or even if you think you're far enough away to just admire it, to just always be cautious and always be careful.
Now, experts we talked to say that even though this turned out to be pretty mild, it was a good dry run for more powerful earthquakes and tsunamis that we are expected to get.
Regional experts say all this is good perspective ahead of the big one, the large-scale earthquake and tsunami this area is overdue for. We spoke with Professor Peter Ruggiero at OSU. He studies coastal hazards and the impact on people and geography. His work includes gauging preparedness, especially for the anticipated Cascadia subduction zone quake.
It's a little bit of a dry run in terms of thinking about how a tsunami might impact our coastline and making sure that people stay safe.
He's part of a task force helping map out response tactics in a disaster event. Saturday's tsunami waves in Oregon were just about a foot. A Cascadia quake tsunami is projected to be 20 to 30 feet, and people will only have about 30 minutes warning.
At new this morning, Australia will indeed deport tennis superstar Novak Djokovic. Court just ruled against him, meaning he will not be able to play in the Australian Open. Australia canceled Djokovic's visa because he's unvaccinated. Djokovic argued for an exception because he had COVID in December. You know, there's been a lot of anger from Australians over Djokovic's attempt to enter the country while unvaccinated. The country has enforced strict lockdowns and other rules to stop the spread of COVID-19.
In the United States has passed another grim milestone. An NBC News tally says the U.S. surpassed 65 million COVID cases yesterday, just 2 days after reaching 64 million cases. On the vaccine front, the CDC reports 209 million people are fully vaccinated. That's 63% of the nation's population. But just 38% of the fully vaccinated have received a booster shot, which has been recommended by federal health officials.
Well, health insurance companies will now cover the cost of at-home COVID tests. The federal government requires insurance companies to pay for up to 8 COVID tests per person per month. You can either give your insurance information when you check out or file a claim after you've bought the tests, and your insurance company should reimburse you. Well, on Wednesday, the Biden administration will launch a new website, covidtests.gov, where Americans will be able to order free tests. Supplies will be limited to 4 tests per household. They will ship within 7 to 12 days of ordering.
Canada's vaccine mandate for truck drivers crossing the border is now in effect. The government says all truckers who enter Canada must be fully vaccinated, regardless of citizenship. The U.S. will place a similar mandate on Canadian truck drivers starting January 22nd. Some are concerned the mandates will further interrupt already strained supply chains, which could worsen inflation. A new law aims to protect people from surprise medical bills. People have fought for years for this new bill. Galen Etland shows us what this means if it ends up at the hospital.
If you have medical insurance, you think you're covered, right?
In 2015, KGW investigated case after case.
It's been a nightmare.
People stuck with surprise medical bills they thought would be covered.
For the common person, this isn't fair.
Very scared.
Like Jamie Hansen in 2018, who got stuck with a $96,000 bill for her son's emergency care.
I'm thinking I'm going to have to sell my house.
It's called balanced billing. When you go into a hospital, you may be treated by a doctor who accepts your insurance. But if someone else comes in to help who isn't in network, the patient is likely to end up with a separate bill from that provider.
It's ruined people's lives.
In late 2020, former President Trump signed the No Surprises Act, banning balanced billing. The federal law is now in effect as of 2022.
It's going to really protect consumers of healthcare.
Dr. James Polo with Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield says now providers must give clear, upfront information about billing and the appeal process if there's a problem.
When you go to a hospital, you just assume everybody, quote, works for the hospital. And that's just not the case. Those providers and those healthcare systems have to figure out how to appropriately work together, but without moving that expense onto the consumer.
The out-of-network pitfalls are still there, but the transparency is now supposed to get better. Dr. Polo says always ask upfront what the cost of care is, what's covered in network, and if any out-of-network services are involved, adding to the cost.
We wouldn't hesitate to ask those kinds of questions at a restaurant, at a car dealership.
The shift could take some providers time, and consumers can file complaints on cms.gov.
I'm happy to sign this bill.
Washington already passed a state protection like this in 2019. Great news for Jamie Hansen.
So many people have this happen.
And now for everyone else with this national law, too.
I think it means that they don't have to worry as much. They don't have to be as stressed.
Now, Regents says if you do get a bill you don't understand, always contact your insurance provider first to break down the coverage and to make sure there aren't any mistakes.
Well, a group of Portland veterans is headed to Northwest Washington to help with flood relief there. Team Rubicon was established back in 2010. Since then, the organization has been sending teams around the world to help with natural disasters. The most recent is Rising Rivers in northwestern Washington. Team Rubicon will help first responders clean up damage from floodwaters.
We currently now have approximately 30 homes that we already have written contracts with the homeowners to be able to come in and to assist them in what we call mucking out. So we're removing mud, we're removing debris, we're trying to get the residents back to where it can be rebuilt, as well as trying to save memories for these homeowners.
So the team will stay in northwestern Washington until at least the end of the month. While they're cleaning up mud and debris, they'll also do door knocks and find other people that they can help out. It's pretty good for them. All right, Keely Chalmers is still to come in our complete forecast for Sunday. We've got one more dry day of weather in the week ahead.
Sounds good. Plus, craft beers and craft projects will take you to the Portland bar with creativity on the menu and how it's providing a therapeutic outlet during the pandemic.